Hey, everybody, welcome to I'm Only Human podcast, the podcast that attempts to explain how to coexist with other humans. So, today, Jay and I are going to be talking about faith, and mostly because it's really windy out and just watching those trees blow and blow, we have a lot of faith that these trees are not going to fall on our houses or fall on our cars or fall on us as we're walking through. And we have faith that we're going to wake up every day and we're going to get to work and back. But Jay's had some experiences lately where having faith and following the path that he knows is right for him has led him to being able to be cared for and take care of what he needs to take care of in a different kind of way rather than traditional employment. So I'll let him talk all about that. Welcome. Oh, you're not Roadie Jay today. You're just Jason.
Well, yeah, I just typed in my name so people know who I actually am. I'm Jason. Obviously, I'm your brother, so people they can know that I run Accountability Nation. It's my fitness journey, as well as I run Roadie J Media Productions, which is a hobby company that I'm working on. Over the last year, I have started to figure out what it is that I'm really looking to do in life. And I finally stopped um, blocking myself, and I shattered my ego. I shattered my whole worldview, and I'm starting to listen to the universe as opposed to listening to what others are trying to tell me is right for me, because only one person in the world knows exactly what's right for me, and that's me. And learning how to make better decisions for myself and learning what it is that I'm passionate about and how I can translate that into a potential career opportunity or potential business to work for myself has been very important. I'm currently dealing with a lot of mental health issues that have really come about because of this whole journey. And I've been listening to the universe, and I've finally done something that I've never done for myself before, and that's getting help. Along with getting that help, I've opened my eyes to other things that I didn't realize I was passionate about. One of them being art. I've been very passionate about art my whole life, and I've been a creative person. So I've been following that path as well as photography, and I've been following my passion for digital media and learning how to create new digital media in ways that I've never been able to do before. So it started out about a year ago now. I did a music video for the Rob Daniels band called I Brought You Home. And I had never done anything like it before. And I'm like, I'm sure I can figure out or get some help to do this for him. And ultimately, I did take it on. I did it by myself. And I learned that I really have a passion for doing stuff like that. So I started listening to the universe about that particular passion of mine and being able to mix the music world with the digital media world. And because of that, I've had a lot of doors open for me in the last year. I've got people who are mentoring me through teaching me how to do things that I want to learn how to do. And I'm finding people who are helping me along the way acquire equipment, uh, as well as acquire skills. And it's all because I've been able to not only shatter my worldview, but I've also been able to be open to listening to the universe and listening to the higher power, because the higher power doesn't speak to you directly. The higher power shows you signs along the way. And if you're open to what the higher power is showing and you follow that path along the way, good things happen to you. And I truly think that part of it is making better life choices is the start of all that. Because why is the higher power going to invest or lead you down a path if you're not following the path that makes sense to the higher power? So there's some give and take in there. And I will say that. I'd also like to preface the statement higher power as the way I refer to God, because I don't necessarily believe in organized religion, that they have that one particular religion has it all right or all wrong per se. There's pieces throughout many different religions that make sense. If you look at the history of religion in and of itself, like we started out in the Roman and Persian times with the gods, Greek mythology, the Norse gods, Buddha in the East. And you look at some of these different forms of religion, they all typically have a common theme to them. And it's not by coincidence. The reality is, when you live a life based on better life choices and not causing harm to others and not doing things to others to get ahead, your life tends to open up in ways that you never thought possible.
That's pretty awesome, because I know that family's been worried about how you're going to survive, how you're going to pay your bills, how you're going to do this, how you're going to do that. And right now you're in South Dakota. It's like you don't have a car anymore, and your finances are like almost none there, but yet you're still doing all these amazing things. And I think that's pretty cool.
Thank you, sis. It's really interesting because you're right. I've lost my car. It was repossessed. My cell phone's been shut off because I can't afford to pay for it. I had a buddy who helped me out. He hooked up a cell phone for me on his plan. I pay him. I get a monthly stipend from Hennepin County, and they take care of my medical, and they give me a small amount of money so I can get food. So it takes care of some of my basic necessities. And with my bills being so cheap at this point, because I just, one, don't have any money, and two, I've lost everything, I'm at rock bottom. And I honestly think that this is where I needed to get to in order to finally find the path that I'm supposed to be on. For my whole life, I've always lived on the path that others have decided makes sense for me, and I've never been able to figure out what it is I want to do or what I should be doing. And when you start figuring that stuff out, you really see a difference in how life looks.
That is so true.
I mean,
I don't
think
know if
about
you've
it.
been following my podcast lately, but I was just talking about this as I was reading through Exodus. And I'm not going to really bring the Bible into this, but I just find it odd that once like everything is lost and every like your worldview is shattered, that's when you can start having faith, and that's when things happen and money's provided and food's provided and somehow you're cared for, and there's way less stress involved. Are you as stressed now as you were when you're working?
No, actually, I'm not. And that has been a really big thing for me, because it allows me to take the anxiety that I deal with and calm it down in some ways. I mean, I am medicated, which is something new for me when it comes to mental health. I'm not particularly a fan of it, but at the same token, I understand why I need to do the medication. And I realize that for all its faults, it does have positives. that makes sense. So I do continue to use the medication as prescribed. I've never been a fan of the pharmaceutical industry by any means. And that comes from the fact that my education is in pharmacy, and just understanding what pharmacy is and the fact that I have to take a pharmaceutical now never really sat right with me. But I understand on the same token that there's a necessity to it. And we'll see as this process goes on how that all looks in the next 6 months to a year. My hope is that the medications stay minimal and that they are a tool instead of something else that sets me further back. And so far, it seems like they've been a useful tool. Part of it is just having the faith in the medical community that they have my best interests in mind. And right now, I do feel that is the case as well. Having the faith to trust in my care providers, because that is just as important as having faith and trust in the higher power as it is, for different reasons, of course. I know that the higher power exists. I've mentioned it a few times. I've had a personal meeting, so I know that there is something in the afterlife of some sort. I don't know exactly what it looks like. It was a brief interaction long enough to hear it's not my time, and then I felt myself pushed back into my body. So that, for me, was proof that there's something more guiding the universe than just serendipity.
So looking back on your life throughout the years, like all those hardships and, your bad marriage and stuff, is there like a correlation with how you are now versus like the lessons you were learning back then? Because a lot of people say, well, all things happen for a reason. So do you think that going through all that relationship problems and stuff has made you a stronger person for who you are now and deciding to take the leap and do something new? I don't know if that makes sense to you or not.
It does. And there is absolutely some truth to that. I do believe that sharing my story now that I've kept well hidden from even family for a number of years, going all the way back to childhood, that has made me a stronger person in some ways. And it's also taught me a lot of things, specifically things that I won't accept in life any longer. It also taught me how to look at people in a different way, where I was just blindly trusting of anyone because I just thought that's the way it should be. And people used me for whatever they could get out of me. And I just allowed it to happen. And I'm at a point in my life where I don't need to accept that anymore. And I don't accept that. I don't have time for people that look at me as an easy target to use for whatever they want to get out of me and push me further back. I don't have time for that. I look at time as an investment. And the better you invest your time, the better your outcome in life will be. And I've made poor life investments for over 40 years. So the reality is, right now, I'm taking the time to start recovering from the poor life investments and working to build a better future for myself, because I understand what I was trying to do for 40 something years was never going to work for me. And I finally just had to say, no, this doesn't work for me. I'm not built this way. I can't do these things because that's not how my brain works. Therefore, I need to learn how to do things in a different way that makes sense to my brain so I can continue forward in life. I mean, died once, and I don't want to do it again for a long time. I want to be able to enjoy life and enjoy this journey that I'm on now. The first 44 years of my life, not so good. Ever since 44-ish, 45, basically after I left Metro Transit, as much as the hardships really began after I left Metro Transit, that's when the journey really truly began. And I was not paying attention to the universe, so things kept getting worse and getting worse and getting worse. And the universe finally had to intervene, and that was a complete mental breakdown in the middle of a concert, no less, that I was working for the band Strange Days. And it was really, really difficult for me to be that open and that vulnerable in that environment. And I needed that particular moment to happen to see that I can't live life the way that I've been conditioned to live life to that point. So as hard as it was, and as hard as it is to live the way I am living, on some levels, the backside of that is I'm finding that the path that I'm on is the path I'm supposed to be on based on what the higher power is showing me and what I've been able to accomplish for myself in a shorter period of time, and being able to be mentored by people who have the skills that I would love to have, and them willing to do it in trade for my time has been a blessing.
I am listening, but as you see, I'm a bit distracted trying to keep the cat away from the keyboard and trying to keep him from knocking down my drink here.
Oh yeah, I've been paying attention to the dogs. Like, I keep looking around, you'll see my head moving, and that's just simply because I'm watching the one dog. She's not feeling well today, and she's already created a mess that I had to clean up, and that's okay. That happens. We all get sick, and it's just paying attention to her to make sure that she's good, because she's a focus of mine today as well. Like, I've been down here in Sioux Falls area since the weekend, and I've been out and about a bunch of the time I've been down here due to contacts I've made down here from the band. So today I'm taking a day that I just stay here. I hang out with the dogs and just take care of myself. I'm not feeling 100% and my body is really sore. So it's time to take a down day.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with taking a down day. I took the day off work today because I just had vacation days I needed to use, and it's Halloween. So why not just relax and pass out Halloween candy? I haven't done that in I don't know how many years.
Absolutely. That's a great idea. I mean, if my room or my buddy would have left candy, I would have handed it out. We're in a newer area that's been built outside of Sioux Falls proper. And it looks like this neighborhood has younger families in it. It's something I noticed being down here is that Sioux Falls seems to be growing, or at least the surround of Sioux Falls is growing exponentially. So there's a reason people want to live in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, or at least around it. And I've been talking to people I know down here and talking to other people. I'm trying to figure it out, see what the draw is to this area.
Maybe because it's a nice area, unlike being like in the inner city or close to the city where there's a bunch of crime and bad behavior and garbage all over the place.
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, every major city is going to have their issues per se. It just comes down to how the leadership handles it. And I know that can be difficult for people to understand because people are so emotionally invested in things, or they're emotionally manipulated to believe things that may not necessarily be 100% accurate or accurate at all. And that's a reality that we see nowadays. That's the battle of good versus evil that is causing us to fight amongst ourselves over things completely out of our control so other people can profit. And the problem is when you're distracted like that, you're not able to actually follow your true path in life or take the time to invest in finding out what that true path really is. There's so many people out there in the world that are just doing the thing to get by. And that is unfortunate.
So how long have you had this passion for music? Because that's what ultimately led you down this road to begin with. Was that something when you were like a young kid that you developed a passion for music, or when was that?
Yeah, I mean, throughout my life, music has always played a big part. And it really depends upon what I'm doing at the time or what I'm feeling. You can learn a lot about somebody by the music they listen to, and you can, me included, like if I'm going through a rough time, you'll hear me listening to a lot of Chris Cornell, or as my buddy Pix likes to call it, the heroin greatest hits. Like when I'm on the road, Scotty, the lead singer, and I, we spend a lot of time listening to music together and talking about music, and we have a very similar interest in music and what we listen to. So we get made fun of for that, but I mean that's just part of being in a band. I mean, there's a lot of banter back and forth, and it's cool. But yeah, I've been a music person pretty much my whole life, and for a number of years throughout my marriage, I really wasn't able to explore music the way I would have liked to have, because my ex had stipulations on the music that she would listen to when she was around me, which was pretty much all the time. Or if she wanted to watch TV or a movie, we were watching TV or a movie. And it's like, to me personally, I'd much rather have the TV off and the music on. The streaming services to me have been a blessing. I have found so many new artists that I never knew existed or would have known existed, based on how music was moved around previously.
Yeah, I'm sure it was like tougher to get into the industry, or maybe it wasn't as tough. I don't know the music industry at all, but it just seems like with TikTok and YouTube and Reels and all that, like independent people are now being seen and they're gaining popularity, which I think is an awesome thing. It's always nice when we can use social media for a good cause rather than destruction.
Yeah. And the reality is this: social media is a very valuable tool when you use it for the means necessary. A lot of people don't realize social media's original invention was to connect people, and then evil people figured out, hey, wait a minute, we could use this tool and turn it into a weapon. And that's a lot of what happened, because a lot of people don't pay attention to nuance, or they don't have the ability to understand past the emotional manipulation of what could be potential. Like with me, my fitness journey, I found a lot of great people in the fitness community that I talk to on a regular basis. They're great people. My fun account, I've met a lot of really cool people in the stoner community that are incredible people. And I've met a lot of artists as well. And it's simply because I've taken the time and the risk of putting myself out there in ways that I've never done before. And some of that's confidence, having more confidence in myself. And some of it is just a Hail Mary, to be honest with you, to see if I can land something. And so far it seems to be working.
The last time we talked, I know that you were kind of freaked out and low and not feeling good, and you've been depressed. So, are you finally out of that now that you see that things are starting to move for you again? Or are you still
I
feeling those feelings?
I have some days where things are good, and then I've got other days where I'm just like I sit there and in my head I'm screaming, "Get up and move! You really want to go do this? You really want to go do that?" And I just sit there and do nothing. My body just won't react to what my brain is doing, and it's a fight between the two of them some days. And sometimes it lasts for weeks, sometimes it lasts for a couple of days, sometimes it goes months. And that's the one issue that I'm really working hard to pinpoint is how to manage in that environment.
Sorry, awkward silence.
I had to get some water. The
Yeah,
pills
it
will give me some
happens.
dry
It
mouth.
happens.
That's another thing. I haven't been hydrating as well as I need to, and it's causing me headaches. So I'm working on making sure that I'm drinking more water like I have been in the past. It's like revisiting what has worked for me and what hasn't, and working on rebuilding what works for me versus what doesn't. It seems like when I have these issues pop up, old habits pop back up, and it's real easy to fall back into terrible eating habits and bad behavior on some levels. And I don't want to live like that. So it's working hard to figure out how to resolve those things along the way so I don't have to live that way because I don't want to live that way.
I understand that. Yeah, I was just gonna ask you how your weight loss journey is going
I've
because I know
put
you
about
were like really, really into that, and then all this other stuff happened.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I allowed myself to put about 30 pounds back on. And while I'm down here in South Dakota, I'm really working on detoxing out the bad diet and working on cleaning up my diet specifically. That is one of my biggest tasks while I'm down here, as well as learning how to use some new equipment that I've acquired, especially a GoPro, um, as well as an audio mixer that I got. Plus, I brought my computer down, and I need to work with my computer while I'm down here. So there's things that I want to be doing while I'm away. So when I get back, I can get set up and get firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, a lot of times there's days where it's like I want to be doing something, I want to be progressing, but then I get caught up in just zoning out, looking at my phone, or otherwise I got like these lovely distractions right here that prevent me
Oh
from
yeah,
doing stuff. It's like the minute I
yeah.
want to open the computer, they're like on me, like we need
Oh yeah.
attention.
The boys are good for that. I have the same thing at home with the dogs, with Ghost and Austin, the Foster. It seems like when I'm trying to do something, whether I'm in the garage studio or if I'm in the new studio that I'm putting together in the spare bedroom, they're like right there. And it's just like, it's awesome to see you boys, but I need a little time by myself.
And if anyone ever watches this, this is Karma right here. Karma is a jerk
Yeah.
most of the time, which is a fitting name.
Yeah. Yeah. I never can tell the difference between karma and chaos, or karma and
Cashmere.
yeah, that's right. I even forget Cashmere's name on occasion.
Right. I know their names. I just call them all Kitty or Cat.
Yeah,
What's up, Cat? What are you doing? Or
exactly. They
Buddy.
just look at,
I don't know.
yeah,
Chaos is the only one who knows his name because he gets yelled at a lot.
yeah. Good old chaos. with the best resting bitch face I've ever seen on a cat.
Oh yeah.
It's so true.
All right. Do you have any last words or last thoughts on the topic of faith before we close out this live stream that nobody cares about?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, hey, two people care. We care enough to do this podcast. So that's a start. And I'm sure that a couple people will check it out and they'll care to listen. And that's awesome. Appreciate y'all for those couple of people that do check it out, and maybe one of those people shares it with somebody else and that person cares enough to check it out, and we just build from there. And
I like it when people leave comments, because that's always fun for me, but it very rarely happens, and it's only family that really leaves comments.
Yeah, I get it. It's a hard thing to
I'm not exactly out there and like, yeah, I'm not exactly out there and like talking to people and making myself known. It's really hard to build relationships when you don't know how to build relationships and things like that.
Well, that's one thing that I've been successful at, thanks to Dad's charisma. I apparently got that, and I've been able to talk to people, and that's really the big thing. Is my networking skills have been so vital to getting to where I am, and just having the faith that I can use those skills to further what I'm working on. And I do it in a way where both parties benefit, as opposed to just one or the other party benefiting. And I think that really is the biggest part of why things work out so well for me, is because I'm not going into something expecting that I'm going to be the one that benefits solely. I want everyone to benefit when I work with them or they work with me. I don't want it to be a one-way street. I don't believe in taking advantage of others. I feel that's weak, and I've seen it long enough in my life to know that it's a weak move by weak people who are just using it as a tool to get themselves ahead because they're lazy or they're not intelligent enough to understand how to do the things on their own. And having faith to be around the right people, or being able to understand who the right people are, it takes a long time going through the bad ones to start understanding the patterns that exist along the way till you get to the better ones. And that's really what it is. Coming down to it, having faith in your path, having faith in a higher power doesn't necessarily mean you have to be a religious person. I think people conflate the two ideas, where organized religion versus spiritual belief, they're two totally different things, and people like to conflate that in the political world, and that's part of the issue that we're dealing with now. Like, this election is going to be rather interesting, and it's an ideological battle based on morality, and people conflate morality for legislation. And now we're fighting over whose version of morality is better and whose is going to be legislated. And that's the fundamentals battle that we're seeing. I just want to remind people out there that love and positivity exist. Conversations out there still exist. Asking people why, instead of shoving your worldview down their throat, changes a lot of things. One simple question: why do you believe what you believe? Changes a lot of conversations. So just something for people to think about. I am never going to tell anybody what to do. I'm just going to offer up what it is that I do and what I've seen that works for me. If you feel that would work for you, feel free to use that concept. If you don't feel it will work for you and what works for you is going to keep happening, by all means do your thing. But someday when you're ready to look at changing, if you feel that's what's necessary, be ready, be committed, take it on head first. Just know it's not going to be easy. And there's going to be a lot of days where you question what it is you're doing and why you're doing it. And remember, for every one of those bad days in future, there'll be plenty of the good ones to remind you of why it was all worth it.
Okay, very good, very good. All right, so we're going to close out this episode. Go ahead and look through the catalog and find other episodes, or visit us on Spotify, iHeartRadio. I don't know if we're on Apple Podcasts. We might be on all those platforms. So check out I'm Only Human by Jennifer Bradley. You have to look that up. Otherwise, you won't find it. All right, have a good day.